They say our reputation needs a new coat of paint and a delicate melody. But I say I like the bruises, 'cause a melody don't mean a thing if we don't have the strength to sing. And I won't be made to ever feel ashamed that I'm American made. I got American parts, got American faith, and America's heart.
The Talk Alternative is the 405media.com. From Los Angeles, California. How are you doing? It's 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 Eastern. It is time for the Tammy Jackson Show. Tammy is the emerging threat from the West Coast. Tammy J on Twitter. She's the bossy boss at rightvoicemedia.com. Deal with it. She's the new media marketing person for the film Ride the Thunder and host of Middays with Tammy Jackson at KYKN in Salem, Oregon. Hello once again, Tammy Jackson.
Hi, John. It's great to be here. And gosh, it seems like I was just on the mic only a few hours ago.
Yes, you were. But we got a brand new show, brand new guest. Jason Curtis, born in North Carolina, grew up on Drummond Island, Michigan. You can Google that. It's an island in the eastern Upper Peninsula in Michigan. He served in the Army as a military intelligence analyst. He worked for a defense contractor for the last 5 years, training our military all over the world in intelligence analysis. Jason's whole team was laid off in September 2013 due to Department of Defense budget cuts and has been unemployed ever since. Curtis has just completed the writing for a project that he'll be recording in Nashville soon. And he wrote the song Under an Overpass to create an awareness for homeless vets and PTSD. He's made it his mission to help those vets. So welcome to the Tammy Jackson Show, Jason Curtis.
Oh, thank you, John. Really appreciate that. And thank you, Tammy.
Oh, you bet, Jason. Thanks for taking the time to join me on the show tonight. So, okay, you were born where in North Carolina?
I was born in Morganton, North Carolina.
Where is that in the state, since I'm not real familiar?
Well, if you think about it, if you know where Charlotte is, which everybody does, it's
yes, just
a little bit south of there, actually, and right in that, not too far from that area, actually. If you think of Charlotte, you just head the other direction. There's really I-85 will take you right to it.
Okay, gotcha. Now, what precipitated the move to Drummond Island up in Michigan?
Oh, well, actually, it was a step in a process. We decided to leave that area and move up to where the jobs were. Around then it was the auto industry. The big three were really going big time, so we decided to try our luck in Detroit for a while. About 7 years there as a young child, and then my mom was a hairdresser there. She cut hair for a living, and we had a pretty rough life, but from that point forward, she met a few friends there and decided to go ahead and take a visit up to Drummond Island, about the furthest northeast you can go in the eastern Upper Peninsula there, right on the border of Canada. And she came back and said, we're moving. So that's how we got there.
Well, John's from Wisconsin, so I think he's probably familiar with the area more so than I am. Now, what possessed you? What age were you when you joined the military?
Well, I was 18 years old. I actually started off in the Marines. I was in the Marines first.
Okay.
And I was infantry in the Marines. And when I finished up with that, I decided to go home and go to college.
Okay.
Well, that didn't seem to fit the plans at the time. I still felt like there was more to do. Mm-hmm. So a friend of mine came home and had an Army uniform on and talked me into joining the Army.
Wow. What? So you were infantry in the Marines. Where were you stationed?
I was out there at Camp Pendleton, California.
Okay. Yes, I have friends in Fallbrook, so I know exactly where that is. Did you take any tours with the Marines overseas or in country anywhere?
You know, my story is kind of unique in the respect of when I say start off in the Marines, and I did. And the problem with it is that when I got finished with my basic and I was getting ready to get out and go join the fleet, What they decided to do was my contract that I had actually didn't fulfill because my school was full. I was supposed to go to communications, but actually infantry was what was available at the time. So I had to go see the adjutant, and he told me, well, you got a choice. You can go ahead and separate now and try your luck again later on with something else, or you can stay on as an infantry. Well, I decided at that point in time I really wanted to have a career I could use when I got out.
Right.
So I went back home and thought about some things, and then I just joined the Army. So the Marines gave me all the tools I needed to get through Army Basic.
That's very tough training. It really is. The basic is not easy in the U.S. Marine Corps. Now, what does a military intelligence analyst do?
Well, that's a great question. A lot of people make fun of that. They always say it's an oxymoron. But I have to tell you, though, it's a very interesting job. It's not something that someone could take very lightly because it's a multifaceted, and I like to use asymmetric because that's a word that we commonly use in there. It's not really defined in one area. There's so many things that we do, and there's so many important things that the military does with it that we needed to emphasize. So in my line of work, primarily what it was is taking information, analyzing it, and then providing the information to a commander so they can make a decision on the battlefield.
Okay, very, very interesting. Now I want to ask, the music part of things. When did you begin playing the guitar?
Oh, I owe my mother a great big thanks for that. She actually bought me my first guitar a long time ago, and it was either that or a magic set for around my 6th or 7th birthday. I was so happy when I opened it up and it wasn't a magic set. It was a guitar from Sears and Roebuck, and I played on that, and for a while, I just tried to do the best I could as a young kid with no training or anything like that. And of course, we didn't have YouTube and all the things that we have nowadays that these young kids have. Right. So I started off back then, and I just picked it up. It took a long time to get where I'm at right now, but again, it was a long road that was worth it. It really paid dividends later on.
So it's interesting too, because I imagine that even getting the guitar from Sears and Roebuck was not that easy. It sounds like your mom was very hardworking and had to sacrifice for you.
Yeah, she was a single mom at the time, and of course, we went and got our clothes out of the box at a Salvation Army most of the time, but we did the best we could, and we made it. We didn't take handouts from anybody. She continued to work as hard as she could, and she got myself and my sister, later on my brother, who's a little bit younger than I am, came into this world, and we made it all together. So that's where we're at now. But again, it just shows that hard work does pay off, and it will get you somewhere if you don't give up.
And if you're not told from the beginning that you're a victim, but that you can make it and you can work hard, that's an awesome story, Jason.
Thank you.
Let's listen. I've got one of your songs that's not the main song because I kind of want to lead up to that. Let's listen to Too Late.
Time when I least expect it to, someone comes along, and this time that someone was you. You stole my heart with the warmth of your smile. It took my breath away and let me forget for just a while that it's just my luck I'd run into the one I've waited for. When love comes knocking at any time, it's never at my door. You belong to someone else, and it all comes down to fate. But when it comes to love, I'm always too late. I don't fall like this. I'd be the first to turn and run, but something in your eyes told me that this could be the one. And I know it's all too sudden, and it's not in your plans to see how that this love outshines the diamond on your hand. And it's just my luck I'd run into the one I've waited for. When love comes knocking at any time, it's never at my door. You belong to someone else, and it all comes down to fate. But when it comes to love, I'm always too late. I don't ever find the one that God has in mind, I guess that's the way it's meant to be. And no matter what I say, no matter what I do, all my dreams just won't come true. And it's just my luck I'd run into the one I've waited for. When love comes knocking at any time, it's never at my door. You belong to someone else, and it all comes down to fate. But when it comes to love, I'm always too late. No, it's nothing new that I'm always too late.
I am back. Jason Curtis, that was a fantastic song. Singer-songwriter Jason Curtis. So, Too Late, and that's not the main song we're debuting tonight. That's a song that you had already played some. And by the way, so where can people listen to your music?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm also on YouTube, so I have a YouTube channel. I mean, you can look for Jason Curtis, Curtis, on YouTube. You'll find me there. I have about 7 or 8 videos on there now. I'm also on Reverb Nation, reverbnation.com/J Curtis. And, of course, I'm on nimbitmusic.com. There's some downloads there as well, available for some music.
Okay. And on Twitter, you are at the Jason Curtis. Now, we will be taking phone calls. Anybody that's got questions for Jason, comments for Jason, 877-297-8022. The whole deal is I saw you on Twitter. You contacted me. We had some communication via Twitter and then via email, and I realized what you were trying to do is you were going forward using your music to help these vets. And we're going to get into that a little bit more when we come back. But right now, I want to take a break, and then I will be back with singer-songwriter Jason Curtis. You're listening to The Tammy Jackson Show.
You're on the 405.
Thank you for shopping Amazon.com. When you do, that makes you a sponsor of the 405 Media. Click on the Amazon banner on top of our homepage. Then shop. Simple. It costs you nothing. When you think Amazon, click one more time on the 405media.com, then on the Amazon banner. Thank
Hello,
you.
Amy.
Hi, Bruce.
Kurt Schlichter, welcome to the Wrap.
Hey, you guys, I'm already irritated. It's stupid liberals.
All right, so I imagine you liked Kathleen Sebelius' testimony today. So win, lose, or draw for America, quizzing Kathleen Sebelius with horrible congressmen with bad questions.
Institution with so many damn lawyers, they don't have anyone who does ask a question worth a damn.
How do they get away with this?
As my article will say, I should have hope and change tattooed across my ass.
I see what you're saying, because it would be nice if the GOP took an aggressive stance on the electoral map instead of just hoping to retain.
And I hate to say it, but, Christie may be that guy.
I think Ronan Farrow's the one that the rumor is he's really Frank Sinatra's son, right?
I'm trying to figure out how somebody who doesn't know who the father of her fucking kid is lecturing me on my freaking moral thing.
The Wrap with Amy Otto and Bruce Carroll. Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the 405media.com.
You're on the 405.
Gang of 405 here on the 405 Radio.
Good morning, John. Morning, Scott.
Scott, what's going on in your life?
Do you really want to know?
You were never a nobody. Who are you trying to kid?
Oh, shut up.
They put these people in charge of organizations that have never been in charge of anything else as far as I can tell, and they perform abysmally.
Do you think that after everything that's happened, there's any way in hell that a single-payer system would be implemented while Barack Obama is still in office?
I'm going to take my surliness and go find those individual people that were just on that tape there and hunt them down this weekend just to solve it for you guys, okay?
Dr. Gruber sounds like the epitome of an elitist who's tucked away in his tenured position at a university far, far, far away from real life of real people.
The original and classic Gang of 405, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the 405media.com.
You're on the 405.
We are a bold and active voice for the unborn. We are Audio Girl Ministries, saving the lives of babies by helping moms in crisis pregnancies get past the crisis. How? Free ultrasound imaging so the woman can see the life she's carrying, and by supplying her with essential baby items, diapers, clothes, food, crib, car seat, all given with a loving and caring heart. Want to help? Log on to audiogirlministries.com and make a tax-deductible donation. audiogirlministries.com. Thanks.
CSC Talk Radio is proud to be a part of 405media.com.
Listen to Beth Ann and Common Sense Conversations Talk Radio, weeknights, 8 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern, here on the 405media.com. The Talk Alternative is the 405media.com. Just getting started with the Tammy Jackson Show for another Tuesday night. Jason Curtis is Tammy's guest, and here is Tammy Jackson.
Thanks, John. Yep, I am back with singer-songwriter Jason Curtis, vet and former defense contractor. I'm taking your calls for Jason at 877-297-8022. Once again, that's 877-297-8022. Jason, we just touched on the fact that you served in the Army, but then you worked for a defense contractor. What did that entail?
Well, there was a lot of things that we did. Most of it was training, of course. I was an instructor, and I did some training and instructing out at Fort Huachuca. Give a big shout-out to all the people that are listening down there tonight.
And where's that fort? That's in Arizona?
Yes, it is. It's Fort Huachuca is in Sierra Vista, Arizona.
Okay.
Just south of Tucson, about 75 miles.
Okay.
And I did some instructing there for the schoolhouse, as well as new soldiers that came in. And then, of course, did some writing on some programs and some training programs that we used, and different tasks that I was assigned to that went around the world, basically training soldiers in law enforcement in some respects, providing this training to them as well. It was very valuable, and we were the only intelligence center in the country, so it was a great opportunity for me to be there for the last 5 years.
Wow. Where in the world did they send you?
Well, I got lucky. I got to go to a lot of places like Germany numerous times. It was the biggest benefit and the best job I ever had was just working with soldiers. It was the closest I could be to putting the uniform back on again, and I was very sad when I lost it. But I spent a lot of time, like I said, in Germany and all over the United States. Just about any place you can name it. There was a military base or a National Guard reserve, as well as in Asia. We actually went over to Korea a couple of times, and you name it. Just places like that we've been to, and several times over. Wow. It was a great gig.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Now, the DOD cuts affected you, and I have to tell you, I was really upset as I found out what they were doing to DOD, because my feeling is, let's cut government waste. There's a lot of things we can cut, but I don't like the idea of just cutting Department of Defense. I just hate that. Now, I know there's probably some waste in there. There's some people, maybe even in the Beltway, that are political appointees that I think are wasteful. but there's a lot of things that we should cut in our country before we cut defense. And so that really bothers me. And it must have been pretty tough to be laid off after 5 years of steady, interesting work.
Yes, it was. It was very hard to take that. It probably took me, the last 6 months. I'm still not over it. But I'm finding a new method now to reach out and, again, to help these soldiers or veterans as much as I can. That seems to be the only place I can find any peace besides, just trying to figure out a way to get back in there again on my own accord now. But losing it was not easy at all.
Oh, my goodness. And it makes it all the more touching that what you're doing, you want to do to help vets and soldiers. And so you could be wallowing in it. And this is another thing I would say as a tribute to your mom, that she brought you up to be what I would call an overcomer. So you've got a tough situation, but you've got a good work ethic and you've got rock solid faith. And you're just going to press forward. So you lost that job. That is a huge, huge deal. And now what you're trying to do, instead of just wallowing in that, you're trying to help other vets. It's just amazing to me. And now your primary work is going to be probably in the music field?
That's what I'm hoping for. This song that we're going to play here in a little while, that kind of brought me back into it again. I mean, I love music. I always have. And I've been writing for a long time. But it was one dream that I had to put off for a while because serving this country, it has always been more important to me than anything in any capacity that I could find. My music always played second to that. But now I don't have that anymore, so my music moved to the forefront.
Tell us a little bit about the homeless vet you met who inspired you to write Under an Overpass.
Well, this story is one of those things that I go back and think about, and I wish I could have done something about it back then. But starting back around 2002, I met a homeless vet. He was a Vietnam veteran down in South Tucson, and I used to see him every day. I used to drive around down there I was a supervisor for a security company while I was putting myself through college after I got out of the military. And I used to see him every day. He would be on the corner selling newspapers. I'd drop him a water or go buy him a burger at Burger King right across the street. And his name was Sarge. That was his nickname. I never really knew his real name, but that was the name I gave him, and it kind of stuck. And so people kind of know him or knew him by that name. And again, he waved to me or come right over to the car and shake my hand, and he told me some stories. And I stopped off to talk to him one time, and that's where the foundation of this song came from, was this whole interaction I had with him. Well, of course, life being what it is, I moved on and did a few other things with this job that I was gone all the time. I came back and I'd heard on the street that he had passed away, still homeless, living on the streets. So I decided to preserve his memory. I would write this song.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, folks, let's listen to, this is pretty much the world premiere of something, isn't it, Jason?
It is. I haven't hardly played this song for anyone, so thank you for playing it.
Yeah, it's not, he's going to go up to Nashville and produce this, and we'll get into that a little bit after the song, but let's listen to Under an Overpass by Jason Curtis.
Was standing there on the side of the road, holding a cardboard sign and everything he owned that simply read U.S. Army homeless vet. I felt a little guilty, so I stopped by. I walked up to him, shook his hand and said that I just a man. I work for Uncle Sam in a faraway place they call Vietnam. I'm out here on my own. I have no address, but you can find me under an overpass. Well, I just stood there for a minute and looked in his eyes. Saw the war-torn images playing in his tormented mind. I can't imagine all the hell that he'd been through. He spoke of a life that he once had. Said it wasn't always like this, and before it all went bad, I had a wife, 2 kids, and a family. But now I'm just an empty shell of what I used to be. I'm just a man. I work for Uncle Sam in a faraway place they call Vietnam. I'm out here on my own. I have no address, but you can find me under an overpass. Well, right there in that moment, I suddenly realized, and I thank God for this man and his blessing in disguise. So I reached in my pocket and gave him everything I had. I thanked him, and as I drove away, the last words that he said, I'm just a man. I work for Uncle Sam, just like my brothers in Afghanistan. I'm out here on my own. I have no address, but you can find me under an overpass. And someday they'll find me under an overpass. He was standing there on the side of the road, holding a cardboard sign and everything he owned that simply read U.S. Army Homeless Vet.
Okay, so that's Under an Overpass, really a touching song about Sarge, your homeless vet, and you want to use that. That's just the rough cut. You'll be recording in Nashville this spring or summer?
It's looking more like this summer. I just finished the last song in the project not even a day ago.
Wow.
So I'm kind of hanging on to those for a while, but I'm ready to go do it now if I could.
You've got quite a few songs then. How many?
I'm sitting on about 20 at the moment, and probably 22. I write them every day, it seems like now, but a song like you just heard was one. It took me a while. It took me about 50 times playing that song before I could get through it without breaking down, because it meant so much to me. And it's probably the best song I've ever written, but again, the hardest song I've ever written. You could really tie it into the current war we're fighting nowadays. Homeless vets and PTSD, obviously, those type of things are on the rise, not just with males, but also with females these days. So I try to write songs that reach out and touch people in places where only music can reach them.
And music does. It touches our heart and our emotions more than almost anything else. We need to take a quick break. I will be back with musician Jason Curtis.
Thank Thank you for shopping Amazon.com. When you do, that makes you a sponsor of the 405 Media. Click on the Amazon banner on top of our homepage. Then shop. Simple. It costs you nothing. When you think Amazon, click one more time on the 405media.com, then on the Amazon banner. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Grid with Matt Hochman and Beckett Adams.
MSNBC's Chris Hayes was talking. I know he's the punchline all on his own.
Mark Hemingway, senior writer at the Weekly Standard.
I think the insurance system in the United States is the analogy is it's a lot like Congress. If you ask people what they think of Congress, everybody hates Congress. Congress polls at a 9% approval rating, but if you ask them what they think of an individual congressman, well, you're going to get a vastly different response.
Andrew Carell, senior editor at Mediaite, formerly a producer for John Sussel at Fox Business Network and ABC 2020.
Abortion is debatable because you're talking about a if you're pro-life, you believe that it's a human life. You believe it's a life.
And we're going to fix the problem between conservatives, Republicans, and libertarians. We're going to solve it tonight.
Off the Grid with Matt Hochman and Beckett Adams. Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, only on the 405media.com.
You're on the 405.
Game right.
Black Friday would only be equivalent to healthcare.gov if it was mandated and if you did not know the prices of what you were buying until you got to the register.
Aim right with Amy.
There's a clear desperation, I think, from people on the left, from the president, to get people enrolled in Obamacare.
Aim right with Amy, live.
The hits keep coming. The shoes keep dropping for the White House, for Democrats who are supporting of this bill. The campaign to have young people sign up for Obamacare is only a manifestation of this entire nanny state policy.
Aim right with Amy, live, Tuesday nights, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, only on the 405media.com.
Obamacare is definitely going to end death spiral. I know I've used that phrase before, but it's heading there. Now, whether or not we get to a point where it's going to be repealed, I think that's to be decided later on.
You're on the 405.
It's John Grant here from the 405radio.com. Did you know we started the 405 Radio from nothing only a little over a year ago? That's right. We started with a single podcast and shopped it around to the big guys. So we know how hard it is to break in and promote your own show and get anyone to listen to it. That's why the 405radio.com launched our partner program. It's free. We want you to do your best and be heard on the 405 Radio. We'll feature you in a special section, promote you with social media, and stream your show along with the rest of our 24/7 programming. If you're an independent podcaster, believe me, we've been there and done that. Okay, here's our email address. Are you ready? The 405radio at the405radio.com. Some of our hosts you've never heard of only a year ago are now thought leaders in conservative politics. They've gone on to do real radio and blog for big-name sites. We believe you deserve a shot, so tell us who you are and why your show is good and different, and we'll feature you as a partner on the 405radio.com. The Talk Alternative is the 405media.com. Tuesday night means the Tammy Jackson Show, and we are halfway and some change finished with the show for tonight, but still half the show to go. Once again, here's Tammy Jackson.
I'm back with Jason Curtis, singer-songwriter veteran, trying to do what he can for those warriors who are suffering through PTSD. I'm taking your calls for Jason at 877-297-8022. Okay, so Jason, the song that we just heard, Under an Overpass, that was a rough cut. You'll be heading to Nashville probably this summer to record with Troy Olson. How did you meet Troy? Tell us a little bit about Troy.
Well, Troy is actually from Tucson. He got signed to a publishing deal from here a few years ago by Linda Ronstadt, who also lives here. Actually, she moved to California recently. Her family still lives here, but she's from Tucson. And I knew him just through socially playing with the same musicians around town. And he moved to Nashville, put a couple songs on the radio with his record deal. And then he wrote a song for Blake Shelton and also for Tim McGraw. So he's had some really good cuts. He's quite the songwriter. So I approached him about the idea, and he invited me to come out and have him to produce my record. So I'm still talking to him about that right now, and it looks like things are going to move in that direction.
That sounds fantastic. Now, tell us a little bit about PTSD.
I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I look at these days. It's on the rise. Way back when, you can imagine soldiers coming back not realizing that they even had this, even as far back as any war we can ever imagine, and then looking through Vietnam when it really started coming out. But it seemed to get ignored in the same way it does nowadays. It's even worse nowadays, but I've known a few friends that had it, the nightmares and all the things that affect them in their daily life from living a normal life. It makes them run from getting help because they feel like nobody can help them.
Right.
And that song has an interesting line in it that I came up with that talks about the war-torn images in his eyes that I saw. And I felt that in my heart that I saw those images, like watching a war movie, reflecting back in my face. And it just taught me so much about the feelings that they have when they're so afflicted by this. So that's PTSD is such a serious issue, and I just want to create some more awareness to it because I don't think it's getting the proper attention it deserves.
Jason, I wanted to ask you, you've opened for some country musicians' concerts, right?
Yes, I have.
Who have you opened for?
I've opened for Gary Allan and also Diamond Rio, which are obviously Diamond Rio has great songs. Gary Allan has great songs, two of my favorite artists. Also for Andy Griggs and Rick Trevino. Right here in Tucson, Arizona, I did that. Some of the greatest concerts, of course, because I got to open for them, that I've ever been to.
Well, how did you meet these guys? How did you get to be their opening acts?
Well, I started off with a pretty good band out here, and we made it work. We did really good, and we got picked up by the manager, I guess it was entertainment manager, Kiri Gregg, was her name, out there at Old Tucson, and she gave us a shot, and we went out there and did it, and there was over 10,000 people at the show. We did a great job, she said, so she kept bringing us back. And,
wow.
Unfortunately, they quit doing concerts at Old Tucson Studios here, where they filmed a lot of the John Wayne movies back in the day, so it's a very interesting place, but I really do miss doing that.
Oh, my goodness. I want to play another song that is not one of yours, but you like it and I like it. And it has to do with vets that we love. And when they come back, they're really changed, and they're changed forever. Even though most of these vets don't sit around and feel sorry for themselves, but they go through quite a bit. And my heart really goes out to them. The song is by Derek Scholl. It's called When They Come Back. Let's listen to When They Come Back by Derek Scholl.
He was barely 19 when he joined the Marines, just like his daddy did. Glory bound and bulletproof was that small town kid. They shaved his head and shipped him out to somewhere stand. They gave him a gun, said get the job done, and that boy became a man. And for 3 long years he fought hard for Company C, till the day his wheels touched down in the land of the free. When they come back, they thank God they're home. Yeah, they're older, wiser, filled with more pride than they've ever known. Or they're broken, bitter, or struggling to get past their pain. When they come back, they don't come back the same. He sat in his chair and stared out the window and thought about lost friends. And what do you do when they tell you you'll never walk again? Said I can't stay in this chair and pity myself for the rest of my life. 'Cause the one thing he learned while he was over there was how to fight. So for 4 long years he studied hard and he prayed for grace. And when he got that degree, we saw that old smile come across his face. When they come back, we thank God they're home. Yeah, they're older, wiser, filled with more peace than they've ever known. Yeah, they're stronger, better, and thankful to be past that pain. When they come back, they don't come back the same. Oh no. When they come back, yeah, they come back, they don't come back the same.
Okay, that's When They Come Back. Jason, I love that song because the idea is every guy that goes to war, they face a lot of things so that people like me here in the comfort of my home in America do not have to go and face those things. And they come back not changed. What really inspires me, Jason, is that oftentimes I see these wounded warriors and they have zero self-pity. They pick themselves up and they go on and they do the best they can. And it just absolutely touches my heart because we owe them a lot. They're out there for us.
Yes, they are. And just to mention a name right off the bat, Kimberly Agar, I hope I said her name correctly, A-G-A-R, was the type of person who gave her all as well. And unfortunately, I met her through her mother, actually, or know her through her mother, Margie, who actually she got a TBI in Iraq and didn't come back the same, actually, unfortunately, and ultimately went on to commit suicide a little bit later on from these injuries and all this trouble that she had from this. So it really affects people more so than many think.
There are a lot of traumatic brain injury victims. I've met some on Twitter, and one fellow had a website to try and elucidate what's going on with TBI. Very, very important for people to know because there are guys that are over there, especially in the Middle East, in the sandbox. There are a lot of IEDs, a lot of explosives and things happening. So these guys, I hear more and more about some of these injuries. And we just need to be aware. I don't feel very sorry for the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the other people that are, the gun grabbers and getting all kinds of money and doing whatever. But the people that my heart really goes out to happen to be our troops and vets. Because, essentially, Jason, what they do is they sign a blank check that could ultimately be their lives when they go and they sign up for our military to go fight. And it's just a tremendous thing, which is why I have a Pinterest page, Jason. I don't know, have I shared it with you? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen the Pinterest page yet.
Yeah, I have a board that's for the soldiers, sailors, airmen, marine, and coasties, and underneath is the Bible verse, no greater love hath any man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. And I think of that when I think of our military and our troops. I love them and honor them dearly. And so what you're doing is very much near and dear to my heart. Need to take one last break. I will be back to wrap things up with guest Jason Curtis. This is Tammy Jackson.
405.
Thank you for shopping Amazon.com. When you do, that makes you a sponsor of the 405 Media. Click on the Amazon banner on top of our homepage. Then shop. Simple. It costs you nothing. When you think Amazon, click one more time on the 405media.com, then on the Amazon banner. Thank you.
We are a bold and active voice for the unborn. We are Audio Girl Ministries, saving the lives of babies by helping moms in crisis pregnancies get past the crisis. How? Free ultrasound imaging so the woman can see the life she's carrying. And by supplying her with essential baby items, diapers, clothes, food, crib, car seat, all given with a loving and caring heart. Want to help? Log on to audiogirlministries.com and make a tax-deductible donation. audiogirlministries.com. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Derek Marquez.
I'm Cale Lorge.
We are the hosts of the Canusa Sports Desk, and we're here to relieve you of all of your same predictable sports shows that dominate the radio. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Cale, you have a big game coming up. What are your thoughts?
Well, Derek, we're playing a great team this week. We'll have to have a good week of practice and prepare ourselves the right way. If we execute and fight till the end, I think we have a good chance of coming out on top.
Cale, you guys have a tough loss last week. Walk us through it.
Well, Derek, we didn't execute like we had hoped. We're going to put it in a great week of practice, learn from it, and try to do better next week.
Coach, what a great win the other day. Walk us through that win.
Well, Derek, we executed just like we've been working on in practice. The guys played tough. I thought our fans were absolutely excellent. It's time to put this behind us and prepare for next week.
See what I mean?
Yeah, go ahead and kick that to the curb and join Derek and I as we show you a side to the athletes that you never thought existed. Real interviews, real answers.
You can find us at www.canusasportsdesk.com. That's CANUSA sportsdesk.com. It's where the magic happens.
The 405 Media is on Blurt. Check out our homepage, the405media.com. Click on the Get Blurt banner, then install on your smartphone or tablet. Get audio alerts from the 405 Media on upcoming programs and events. Blurt and the405media.com.
CSC Talk Radio is proud to be a part of 405media.com.
Listen to Beth Ann and Common Sense Conversations Talk Radio, weeknights, 8 p.m. and 1 a.m. Eastern, here on the 405media.com. The Talk Alternative is the 405media.com. Don't forget, right after this show, we are the exclusive home of the Tammy Jackson KYKN bootleg, commercial-free. Coming up right after Tammy Jackson, who is live right now for one more segment.
You can get more Tammy Jackson than you ever knew you wanted in your life. Oh, dear. I am back with singer-songwriter Jason Curtis. Jason, listening to your music, listening to your heart, what you want to do with these vets, what's next? When do you head to Nashville? You said early summer?
Yes, approximately early summer is what I'm shooting for at this point.
Okay. Now, talk a little bit. You were telling me this during the break, and I said, say that on air. Talk about the organization that you really want to work with to help vets.
And that would be the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans, NCHV.com. They're actually the ones that I researched quite a long time ago. They actually organize, they're the central hub for all the stand-down programs that go around the country that provide like 3-day programs where homeless veterans come in and they get help, they get haircuts, they can take care of legal problems with the courts, and of course they try to get them into programs if there's substance abuse. They just get together and they feel like they're part of something again, and it kind of rekindles their spirit, which if you've been around a bunch of veterans before, especially at the VA, like I see quite often, you know exactly what I'm talking about and how important that is.
It certainly is. Wow. I love being around vets. I'll tell you, Jason, one of the greatest things, every once in a while I'll see a veteran with an old hat from the Korean War or Vietnam, and I thank them for their service, and the next thing I know, a conversation strikes up, and they just light up that someone cares, and these are not people that necessarily have things like PTSD, but we live in a culture that oftentimes doesn't remember to thank them and honor them. And certainly the Vietnam vets, when they came back, did not get thanks and honor. So that's something that means a great deal to me. And it's it's amazing the reward you feel just for thanking someone that never had that honor rendered previously.
That's exactly right. I mean, we even organize programs around Christmas time to send packages to soldiers in Afghanistan. This last year was the first one that we've done it. Very successful, sent over 200 pounds to Afghanistan, and it worked out really well without a hitch. So some of the packages didn't show up, actually, but it was still a good program. Good attempt.
It's a good attempt, and those soldiers that are overseas, that are downrange, we need to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Jason, this is something we haven't talked about too much, but a lot of this has to do with your heart. You're a Christian, and for you, God's really given you a love for these vets, hasn't He?
He has. He's really opened my mind. He's given my heart a new lease on life to give me a purpose and a motivation. Same kind of drive that I had when I was in the military, and I'm going to continue on as hard as I can.
That's fantastic. I love that. Now, I want to know, are you doing any shows in the area there?
Since I've been writing so much music lately, I haven't had any time to do a whole lot of shows around town. But what I was planning on doing was putting something together here as soon as this record was ready to go, or at least the demos, and get out there and promote it some.
That sounds good. Yeah. That sounds good. Where have you played there in the area previously?
Well, I've played a lot of places here in southern Arizona, even all the way down in Tombstone. Everybody's kind of done that around here, just like you see on the movies. It's, good old Tombstone, Arizona. We played down there, so it's kind of run the gamut of north and south parts of Tucson, as well as surrounding southern Arizona. Just about every place in town, you name it.
Do you get together with guys that were in your unit or something in the Army ever? I know a lot of times vets get together for different occasions. Do you see any of the guys you served with?
Well, I've got a few of them on Facebook still. Tony Silliman is one of them, and as well as Rob. My buddy Rob is on there as well. I see him every once in a while, and it's so good to be able to connect with them at least that way. I never get to see them, unfortunately, because Rob, he lives in Illinois, and they're so far away from me, but again, that's about the best I can do is to see Rob and Tony online, and also
right.
Joe Asaro, I see him. So Rob Morstadt, if you're out there, I miss you, buddy.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so where can people find you, and where can first of all, where can they buy the MP3?
Okay, well, you can go to nimbitmusic.com, which is NIMBIT music.com/Jason Curtis. And the song is there, Under an Overpass. It's 99 cents, and the proceeds are going to go to the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans or some other organizations that are nonprofit to directly benefit the homeless veterans as well as PTSD victims.
Wow. How can people contact you, Jason?
Yeah, you can contact me on Twitter if you like. I'm on Twitter at the Jason Curtis, or you can get me I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/Tucson Band. That's another good way of getting to me, and I'm out there.
You're out there. Jason, I want to thank you so much for your service, and I just hope that God blesses you in your efforts to help the vets who most need help.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's an honor for me to do that.
And it's just amazing. I keep finding people, or they find me, or both. I am asked all the time, where do you find these guests? Where do they come from? I'd say, I don't know. They just cross paths with me, and it's just meant to be. And everybody that I've had on has become a good friend. They're a kindred spirit, and I've enjoyed having them on. And I've enjoyed talking with you, Jason, and I thank you for taking this hour and sharing your heart.
Thank you as well. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all the listeners out there that listen to my music and support me. I really appreciate that as well.
You have a lot of people that do listen to you and support you, so I'll be watching as you go and get this recorded and get the whole CD done. I can't wait to hear it all. For everybody else listening, let me tell you, I will be back next Tuesday with my special guest, Bill Post. Yep. You heard it right. Bill Post, talk radio guy, now the candidate for one of the congressional districts here in Oregon, we're going to get to know the real Bill Post, ex-music DJ, candidate, talk radio guy extraordinaire. Until then, let me tell you, everybody, you won't want to miss that show. But I am just one conservative gal encouraging you to keep fighting the good fight.
What if I wanted to break, laugh it all off in your face? What would you do? What if I fell to the floor, couldn't take this anymore? What would you do? For the